The next person I'd like to bring to the stage is a beautiful actress, Eliza Dushku. She's a Boston native, the talented actress who's starred in a number of television series and movies, including Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Dollhouse, True Calling, and Bring It On. Dushku began her acting career at the age of 10 and has since expanded her impressive resume to include producing. Now, outside of her career in the entertainment industry, Dushku is a humanitarian. Working alongside her mother, Judith Dushku, Dr. Judith Dushku, Eliza has raised thousands of dollars for their nonprofit Trauma, Healing, and Reflection Center, THARCE, in Gulu, Uganda. Through this center, Eliza has played a significant role in helping child soldiers heal from the wounds of war and become reintegrated into society through art and film therapy. This is a beautiful woman who is applying her platform to a great cause. So please put your hands together for Eliza Dushku.
I'm going up top, folks. Here goes. Does this, okay, this works. Hi. I'll give you that. I had to write mine down because I'm pretty ADD, so wanted to make sure we get through this. It is a tremendous, thank you for that introduction. It is an honor to be here with you guys at the Millennium Campus Conference at the Harvard Memorial Church in Harvard Yard. The last time I actually stood right here or sat over there was when I was attending my cousin Julie's wedding to her wife Camilla right here in the great state of Massachusetts. And I just remember the Japanese tourists outside craning their necks to see, where's the groom? And there wasn't one. They were surprised. And now here I am again. Today, perhaps an even bigger surprise for my professor mother, Judy, and I can sit here and say, look, Mom, I finally made it to Harvard, or as close as I may ever get. Thank you. But today I've been asked to share my experiences and work in philanthropy, international travel, social media, and Hollywood in 8 minutes or less. So game on, here we go. I was born and raised down the street in Watertown, and by my mother, who's a fierce feminist, socialist Mormon, and my 3 older brothers. My mother's been a professor of African politics, international comparative politics, and women's studies for going on 46 years now. And she's the reason that I can stand here today and share some of my travels and humanitarian work that means so much to me, as she trained me thoroughly from a really young age. As a single mother with modest means, she wanted her kids to travel, so she got creative and she bravely began to chaperone groups of students around the world in the event that she could always bring one of her kids for free. She made 4 trips to Russia before, during, and after the collapse of the Soviet Union, and had us, music. And had us bring home matryoshka dolls with the leaders' faces on them, Lenin, Stalin, and Gorbachev, so that we would remember the names and never forget who was a good leader and who wasn't. I do remember in 6th grade at Watertown Middle School when my good friend Teresa Caruso leaned over and asked me, why the hell was I going to Russia? She would never go to Russia, even if her mother tried to make her. And she felt she could learn enough right here in Watertown. And at the time, I thought, she's absolutely right. But however, once I'd actually been, it became obvious how rich the experiences that you can only have on the ground with the people, eating the foods, in the history, surviving the madness could be, and then making it home to share vivid stories was pretty cool. Eventually, we took bona fide pride in the fact that while our friends vacationed in Hawaii or Cancun, our mother was taking us to some raw and new country where there had just been a revolution, there was about to be a revolution, or our mother wanted to start one. So all across China with my brother Nate when I was 14, with $1,000 each and a Lonely Planet guidebook, Africa, Eastern Europe, Central and South America, where my oldest brother served in the Peace Corps. Each of these places today remains somewhere in my cell memory. Now, when I was 9 years old, I tripped and fell at my brother's audition, also right around the corner from here on Mount Auburn Street, and I was asked to star in a Hollywood movie. After all the places that I'd been, I can assure you that Hollywood was weird. But I did get free travel, and sometimes it was first class, so we obliged. Acting was not something that I or my family ever would have dreamed up as something that would be part of our lives. And while there were obvious positives, my mother was more desperate than ever to have, my Holly weirdness sort of undone or evened out. So she encouraged more travel. We discovered an awesome organization out of San Francisco called Global Exchange that led and still leads socioeconomic study tours to different countries in 2 to 3 week time frames. When I was on is there any water? I'm having a diva request. My mouth is so dry. So we started going on these trips. On a Buffy hiatus, my mother and I joined a group to South Africa that focused on women in post-apartheid times there. I learned about Nelson Mandela and began my deep love for the Archbishop Desmond Tutu. I actually brought Joss Whedon a Desmond Tutu doll for his newborn child at the time. Then on my next show, Dollhouse, on the hiatus, Global Exchange offered Iran, citizen diplomacy. Now, I had sort of mixed feelings about spending 2.5 weeks in a place that so recently had frankly been demonized by our then president, the media, or even folks that were simply projecting their own fears. I literally felt like Iran, run, anywhere but there. But after some good talks with my family and, having faith that I would most likely, in fact, be all right, I bought 4 hijabs and signed up. I loved that trip, and the only attack came when I was knocked out cold, reaching into my fanny pack. Yes, I said my fanny pack. After a bundle of Persian rugs came loose on the 2nd floor of a beautiful bazaar and out. I woke up and there were friends giving me tea and cookies. And I will add that in true Dushku fashion, a revolution broke out shortly after. But about 2 years ago, my mother had just finished teaching a course about the war in Uganda, specifically about the child soldiers in the northern regions who were abducted at 8 and 9 and 10 years old and forced to kill and become sex slaves by the horrific rebel group, the Lord's Resistance Army. She developed a trip that focused on the rehabilitation and reintegration of the former child soldiers when they returned to their homes and communities after the war. My boyfriend Rick joined us after 2 months. I had to see if the man could hang with us on our travels. But we were blown away. The stories, the surroundings, the recent history, the thoughts and hopes and fears of the future. And after all of her years, my mother had a sort of maybe Mormon-inspired, this is the place moment. She announced she would start an NGO with some of the women there called THARCE-Gulu, or Trauma Healing and Reflection Center. We focus on non-medical integrative therapies, and we wanted to do that because they would be sustainable and they would be free to those who needed it. There are so many people there who do. Poverty and food and shelter aren't necessarily the most pressing challenges when you're contemplating suicide on a daily basis because you can't bear living another day with the degree of post-traumatic stress disorder and horror that some of our post-war friends in Gulu can attest to. THARCE-Gulu's mission is clear and our hearts and passions unflappable. But starting an NGO from the ground up is a challenge that we weren't entirely prepared for. There's so much that we don't know and so much we have to learn, but it's through building this organization that we're gaining invaluable knowledge and starting to plug into real life-changing endeavors. One of my biggest contributions to THARCE came just before my 30th birthday, when I came up with a goal to raise $30,000 by December 30th, my 30th birthday, through Twitter and Facebook. Social media fundraising. We teamed up with a group called tonic.com, who they promote daily good deeds. They can be simply about spreading awareness, or they can facilitate charitable fundraising projects, as they did with me. So I set my 30-30-30 birthday goal. I put it out there, and after 8 days, my little virtual goal thermometer had gone up 3%, or a couple $100. Just as I began to really doubt myself and foresee my imminent and embarrassing failure and further lament that I was turning 30 years old and I had no idea who I was or what effect I might really have on the world, something just changed in me. I went on Twitter blast, and I started sending out concise, direct emails and requests to anyone and everyone I could think of. Little by little, like this adrenaline started crazy coming up inside of me, and little by little, leap by leap, my little virtual thermometer started rocking, dudes, serious. 2 days before my birthday, it was clear we were going to reach our goal. We had about 1,000 left to go, and people, strangers, supporters were fighting for Gulu like it was their own firstborn. So for so many years, I had followed my mother in her good works, and then I'm telling you, almost suddenly it was the eve of my 30th birthday, and something just shifted in me. I felt really calm, really clear, competent, and just so fulfilled. I was like high with gratitude, and it really changed me. You know, I really understand now that my choice to take action and be in and a part of service, like I never really understood it before, and it's this infectious, surreal, awesome thing that I, you know, that's new. While $30,000 is nothing to sneeze at, it also doesn't complete an organization, and we are continually in the throes of fundraising and galvanizing new supporters and volunteers, seeking out resources and new networks. If you already follow me on Twitter, you'll hear from me often and repeatedly about this, and I would love for you to join us. You know, we're just enthusiastic to learn from others who have done it and from you guys here today. I find now that asking for help is a strength. It produces results. If there's one thing I would leave with you guys today, and it's something that I've learned, it's that no one of us is supposed to know everything about everything. That's literally why we have each other. I also support you and encourage you in your works to get right in the middle of the game. You know, become a leader. Don't let fears or fear-mongers shake you off your path. I have block parties on my Twitter every now and then where I simply just block out the haters and the naysayers. And I stick with the winners, the like-minded people that want to, little by little and leap by leap, make the difference that we're all absolutely capable of. I do believe that individual responsible action adds up to the greatest good, and that our choices and actions as global human beings produces unbelievable human doings. Thank you guys for listening to me rattle on up here, and thank you to the Millennium Campus Network organizers, to Ariel, Sam, my tremendously supportive family in the front row, my guru stepdad, Jim, who helped me with this. And I'm excited to hear the rest of the weekend and amazing presentations, and I hope you guys enjoy the weekend as well. Thanks.